We're just getting more people joining too. Hope you can't hear all these doorbells. They're all ringing in my ears. Right. Doorbells have stopped. My name's Heather Henry. I am a registered nurse from Sale, which is in Greater Manchester, UK. And I think this is going to be a mixed audience of clinical folk, school folk, people who run youth groups, and some people who also run national organisations as well. So I'm going to sort of try and cater to every audience if I can. I'm going to do a mixture of a presentation and some videos, and then you can have a little ask me anything at the end. I think it's going to last an hour or less because I've never done this before, shared my work quite so loudly across the world. So here we go. So you can see that, can't you? At some point, I'm going to ask you to unmute. So when you do that, you just press the space bar because this is participatory, I hope. Yeah, so it's going to be a mixture of folk that we've got here today. If you've just joined us, this is being recorded for you, essentially. And here we are. It's about the challenge badge that BreathChamps has been working on in Sale in Greater Manchester. Sale is in Trafford. And I run a little not-for-profit organisation called BreathChamps CIC, which means a community interest company is a social enterprise, which means that it trades for the benefit of the community. There are no profits distributed to shareholders or anything like that. And the community of benefit is the northwest of England. I'm going to run through what an asthma challenge badge consists of and how you might be able to use it. And of course, if you are in Greater Manchester, if you're in Trafford, you get the badge and me for free, thanks to Trafford Council. If you're outside of, if you're in Greater Manchester, I have 9 packs to give away. I've given one away to Berry, thanks to Trudell. And if you want to buy the pack, it costs £50. So it's very little money as well. A little bit about me. This is me. Some of you may have seen this before. This is me at my primary school in Bolton, and I have uncontrolled exercise-induced asthma at this stage. And you can see that this is sports day at my school, and you can see that there is nobody running with me because I am last in every race. And I grew up to be a very underconfident child, very anxious child, and quite often an anxious adult as well because of this. And I have a near fatal asthma attack at 20 because I didn't take my inhaled steroids, but I fixed that at 20 and haven't had an asthma attack since. I left, I had poor school attendance because of asthma, and I left school and had no job for 6 months before I started my nurse training. My lung collapsed twice. I had to have an operation. I had most of my right lung removed. And so therefore, I've been a breathless person all my life. And everything I've ever learnt as a child about what it's like to be a child with asthma is put into this badge. And BreathChamps was set up originally for children with asthma, to support children with asthma, but since the pandemic, it also supports adults as well. So we're going to look at the ethos behind BreathChamps CIC and how we work in Trafford, and what an asthma challenge badge is, where it came from, the evidence base behind it, because although I do make things up, I don't make the evidence up. I'm an evidence-based practitioner. Evaluation, I'm only tiny, so it's only tiny evaluation, how it can be used, what it consists of, and how to get the pack. Of course, all the images of children and the children's work I have consent for, and I think nearly all of these images are taken by me in the course of my work. So I want you to press the space bar and shout up if you've ever learnt something from a child. I can't hear you. Give us a shout. Shout yes if you have.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh. And have you ever experienced a child's pester power? Has a child encouraged you to do something that you would not have done? Shout yes.
Yeah.
Is there anybody saying no to these questions? I'll be very surprised. There you go. Oh, welcome to those who've just joined. We're just at the start of the presentation, and I was just saying that I've had asthma all my life, and it was really bad as a child. So there are two big ideas behind BreathChamps' work. The first one is breathing-friendly communities, a bit like dementia-friendly communities. And for those not in the UK, that means that people understand what it is like to have breathing problems, and the general population learns more and offers help and support to those who have breathing problems. And for me, particularly children, because everywhere the child goes, people want to know how to help. And they go to the swimming pool, they have sleepovers, they go on school trips, everything. People sincerely want to know. And so therefore I spend a lot of my time. I'm the sole practitioner and I work with volunteers, including a volunteer board. And this is why I want to share what I'm doing, so that you can hopefully take up such ideas in your own community. So the work quite often focuses not just on people who have breathing problems, but also people who live here in Sale or in Trafford and increasingly elsewhere, so that everybody knows what to do if somebody has an asthma attack. Everybody knows inhaler technique. Everybody knows that if you take 3 or more puffs of a blue reliever inhaler, that means that your asthma is not under control. Because asthma, as most of us know, is not a minor condition at all. It causes, even mild asthma can end up being something rather more serious that will put particularly children into hospital. And they miss their learning. They feel different, they feel stigmatized. I'm talking about myself now. And they may achieve less in life. So it affects your life chances, in my humble opinion. And so breathing friendly communities, I'm going to talk about that today because we're doing the Asthma Challenge Badge, which is an expression of how children can share asthma knowledge within the community and can support other people around them, and they do. And the second idea is social prescribing. Social prescribing, for those who don't know, is if you go to the doctor and it's the source of your problem is really not clinical, it's social, then you can get support from the wider community by doing something like singing for lung health, which I've done quite a bit of with children. There's Thomas there. He's at an asthma party at a Singing for Lung Health class, by the way. And the organising features of my work are the use of play and play therapy, which will be familiar to many of you, and storytelling. So you'll see a lot of that today. And my approach is to demedicalise, demystify, and to democratise. So I don't use big, long words, clinical words. I use brown and blue inhaler and spacer and things like that. So,
can I ask a question, Heather?
Of course you can, yeah.
Sorry for interrupting you, but I would like just you explain what you mean with democratize. So,
right.
which means?
Yes, so quite often as clinicians, we focus on working with the child and the family. and we don't say anything to the wider community about children's asthma. BreathChamps' approach is that we should be sharing with the community what is happening with our children and how often I can't get these data. I have tried quite hard. How many children in Sale are going into hospital with asthma every year? And how can you use an inhaler? I would like every single citizen to know how to use a children's inhaler and a spacer device together. I would like all children to know how to do this, not just the ones with asthma. And in that way, we can support our children better. Does that answer your question, Ma?
Absolutely. And I agree that it's very important to focus on that. So congratulations. Yes, it's compelling and absolutely enlightening. Thank you.
I can't quite understand why we teach resuscitation following cardiac arrest when asthma attacks are occurring far more frequently, and why we don't share first aid with the community for asthma. I just don't understand it at all. Anyway, so the evidence behind play used in my asthma challenge badge is from the Lego Foundation, some work by Zosh et al., which says for children to learn optimally, there has to be joy, there has to be meaning, there has to be lots of engagement. We have to repeat ourselves. So when we do an asthma challenge badge or we use some of the activities within the badge, then we give the same information over and over so that it goes into the children in front of you. And of course, doing activities as a group, being social as children, of course, is very important. I know I'm preaching to the converted because there's at least one teacher on here. This is some research by Johnny Coppell. I spoke to Johnny Coppell about his work before I started. And Johnny trained up medical students. So here's a tip for you if you're working with nursing students or medical students. And they went into the classroom to do playful classroom sessions. And then he measured the children's knowledge of asthma before and after. You'll notice when it gets to my results that the amount that children knew in 2014 in the classroom before the lesson was really quite low, and by the end was really quite high. So even back as far as 2014, people were demonstrating how to do playful activities in schools. And why do we use stories? Well, stories are an evidence-based way for us to store, remember, and organize information. So you'll notice that I use the story of the big bad wolf and the three little pigs. I have not met a child yet who does not know the story of the big bad wolf and the three little pigs, and then attach asthma knowledge to the story. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes of it a bit later on so you can see what I mean, so that the children remember and use what they've been learnt. And of course, it has to be an emotional story. Character and emotional driven storytelling can aid the release of oxytocin, which can motivate cooperative behaviours in others. Those amongst you who know more about child development will tell me what ages are best for cooperative behaviours. But in my experience, working with the brownies and the cubs, those that are 7 to 10 years old seems to me be the sweet spot for that happening, so that when I ask the children if they will join my nursing team and look out for others in the community, over 90% say yes, that they will help me. And you can see examples of what they've done to help me later on. And when they act out fictional activities, children exhibit responsibility. So they may think it's a game, but because I am really very serious with them, and you don't have to be a clinician delivering any of my activities, but I've got to say that it helps. they do exhibit a responsibility. And of course, I use behavioural science. And the Behavioural Insights team was what was called the Nudge team, you may have heard, set up by the Prime Minister's office at number 10. It is now an independent company. And in order to encourage, for those of you in general practice, I was a practice nurse and a director of primary care, so my background is very firmly primary care. And for those of you like me who've had an experience of maybe whole surgeries not turning up for their appointments, what you have to do, according to the Behavioural Insights team, is to make their attendance easy, attractive, social, and timely. And in fact, I chose not to do group consultations for children with asthma. I'll explain that in a bit. In the GP surgery, I chose to do it after school in one of the school rooms so that the families didn't have to go anywhere. So who can use this pack? It can be used in schools for, well, it's PSHE, isn't it? I always get it the wrong way around. And assemblies. I have delivered the assembly, the big bad wolf has asthma and can't blow the piggy's house down because he has no puff, to probably about 5,000 children in Salford and Trafford. I've lost count, actually. It's a very effective way to deliver a story in 20 minutes, half an hour if you let the children ask questions, and the children handle devices, and I'll show you that in a little while. And of course, for young adults, then especially here in Trafford, I'll talk to Sharon about this, to use that story particularly, the big bad wolf has asthma, and for older children to learn and use the story by going into maybe feeder primary schools and telling the story to smaller groups of children or even whole assemblies if they're that confident. And I would accept Duke of Edinburgh candidates to volunteer with me in Greater Manchester. General practice, annual reviews for asthma, and group consultations, which of course I call an asthma party. And I'll tell you what happened when I held that asthma party in school. And for parents, it is a different type of asthma course because you can learn by reading the pack and playing some of the games or reading some of the stories with the parent, between the parent and the child, and youth groups. And my experience is girl guiding in Wigan, in Salford, and in Trafford, and scouting in Trafford. So a little bit about group consultations. So I started some work on group consultations for children with asthma in Eccles, which is in Greater Manchester. It's in Salford, Greater Manchester, which is an area of significant disadvantage. And I befriended a number of mothers. It's a very matriarchal community. Mar, that means that the mothers are in charge, basically, in Eccles. Apologies if you're in Eccles and that's wrong, but I think it's probably right. I had a second asthma party at Westwood Park Primary School in Winton, and because I do study, act cycles, so I do small cycles of change and learn from them. And I invited 4 families with children with asthma from the school to do various activities to learn about asthma. How many families turned up in a disadvantaged community? How many turned up at that asthma party? Give us a guess.
It's really hard to engage disadvantaged families and parents. I would say about 5. 8. It's good.
You
really
can probably
good.
gather from that picture in the room that actually the mothers did know me, and I had been cultivating their acquaintance for a while. And I invited 4, and they invited their mates. that's what happened. And it was fortunate that I had an asthma specialist nurse and a community pharmacist in the room to help me alongside the teaching assistant. Otherwise, it would have been chaos. And so this is easy, attractive, social, and timely in action. But for those of you in general practice, thinking about group consultations, so that's bringing people with the same condition together, it is, of course, an evidence way for people to learn from each other, feel connected, and the evidence suggests that you will get fewer visits to hospital and reduced hospital admissions. Now on to the brownies. I did my Big Bad Wolf Has Asthma story. Why I did this in a secondary school in Walkden is beyond me, but I did. And I did so because there had been a death of a child that attended that school, age 14, called Tom. I can talk about him because he's all over social media. And as you imagine, his mother has never, ever recovered, and neither has the community. And one of the brown owls saw a picture that the school had tweeted about, no, it was on Facebook, about my visit. And that brown owl was the niece of the boy who had sadly lost his life. And she invited me to her brownie pack, Sarah. And she may well be watching the rerun of this unless she's here and I've missed her. And she said, please, will you do some activities at Brownies because of the high rates of asthma in Walkden, Salford. This is another part of Salford, another part with high levels of disadvantage. And I did 3 sessions in September, November and December. And I did a puppet show. I did a little video, Iggy and the Inhalers. That is an American website you might want to look up. And had a chat with the children about how preventers and relievers work, inhaler technique and first aid. In the second week, we made a model lung from a plastic bottle and a balloon, and we did an inhaler decorating competition. I want the children to handle devices, to be familiar with devices, so that the more that, you know, they're playing with them, they are dummy devices, I hasten to add, donated to me. And they did an inhaler decorating, and they did, it was coming up to their nativity, of course, and they did singing for lung health demonstration, because I'm trained to Asthma and Lung UK standards on singing for lung health. And we practiced what they were singing, which was Away in a Manger, not an easy song. And then we did a ball and pipe competition where the children kept that small ball, you know, the ball and the basket thing. And lo and behold, the children with asthma could not manage that very well at all. I think there was 3 children with asthma in that unit. And what did the children think? I did personally deliver it, but as I say, you don't have to do that. Brownie leaders, arcalers, people like that are perfectly capable of delivering activities in Go Guiding and Scouting, and indeed they have done so on their own. But they enjoyed it a lot. They told, I'll tell you how many, I asked them to tell lots of people what they learnt. And you can see that this particular brownie, so she's between 7 and 10 years old, and she says, oh, Heather told me about asthma, want some tips? I love it. What they learnt, so this brownie said, don't stop doing exercise, it's good for you. Apparently the best bit was Heather. That's why I put this slide up. She said it was me. Okay, and what's the most important thing? So it's the inhalers. To make sure to use the blue inhaler a few times. I think they probably meant only a few times. Remember, this is the first experiment. They need to use their brown inhaler every morning to keep calm. You can die. We can discuss what happens at the end of the Big Bad Wolf story, because he did go down the chimney and he had a big asthma attack, and the little pig saved his life, and that's how the brownies know that you can die. Don't stop doing exercise. You can run, because of course I couldn't run. They had a lot of fun. they told other people, this is what I wanted them to do. And so over the past 4 years, I have been revising and refining an asthma challenge badge based on the experience that I had that day in Walkden. And I do this pack in memory of Tom from Walkden. And so this is what it consists of. It is based on the National Review of Asthma Deaths 2014, which is probably the world's largest to date review or look back on what caused the deaths of both adults and children. And it is a very, very, if you've not read it before, sad read. So the pack includes basic anatomy and physiology. It explains what the inhalers do, loads and loads of inhaler technique, first aid, personal asthma action plans, basically, what's it called? But basically to notice if somebody's using their blue reliever inhaler for 3 or more times a week, asthma triggers, and some simple breathing and relaxation exercises. I find that children actually in school are taught a lot of breathing and relaxation exercises, and they show me exercises too, which is fabulous. Oh, this is a big long list, which you can read at your leisure when you look back at this. But they start off with knowledge and skills. And everybody always starts with an asthma awareness quiz so that you can measure how much they know, the brownies know, or whoever it is before and after. And then generally everybody does the what is asthma video. And I dress up, as you probably saw if you watched the video on the Eventbrite. I do dress up as Darth Vader, who really cannot use his inhaler correctly. This is true. Arts and crafts, and they can make big bad wolf puppets out of toilet rolls, and I'll show you that in a minute. And a personal asthma action plan bookmarks. The brownies in Ashton on Mersey did a lot of that, and they give them away as well. Storytelling and poetry. And the big story that is always used is the story of the big bad wolf. And then breathing. And we didn't do too much breathing because of the pandemic, so we haven't made breathing dragons very much and things like that. We have delivered this badge over Zoom to units in Wigan. It's perfectly capable of doing this badge over Zoom with parental supervision. And fundraising and spreading the word. I wish somebody would fundraise for BreathChamps. That would be nice. But yeah, only older children do things like be a salbutamol guardian and things like that. And lots of children, as you've perhaps seen, like to write to their doctor or nurse and tell them what they've learnt. But before those letters go out, I do clinically check them to make sure that they're accurate. And also they like to draw posters of what they've learnt and bring them to school. And again, if they're going into school or doctor surgeries, I do check them clinically before they go anywhere. So yeah, this is what the actual badge looks like if you want to use it. It's branded with the trefoil, and it has got Girl Guiding Lancashire South County. For those of you in Girl Guiding and Scouting, this is what's called a local badge, so you can adopt it. It's not a national badge, as you know, and it links in very well to skill builders or interest badges. So you'll know what that means. But it was built with, it was designed to fit right into Girl Guiding and Scouting, and it seems to have done that quite nicely once I understood what I had to do. Okay, this is a letter that Holly from First Sale More Brownies has written to her GP. We have had the odd GP right back in Wigan, none in Trafford yet. And this is the puppet set up for the big bad wolf has asthma. So far, so good? Nobody fallen asleep? All right. So I'm going to show a little video now of the big bad wolf has asthma. This is free. It's on YouTube. Please use it. Yeah, and in schools, I know that you have inhalers and spacers locked away quite often somewhere, emergency ones. Bring them out. You can use them. You're not going in anybody's mouth. Here we go. Help. I know what I've done. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once upon a time, there was a big bad wolf, and he wanted to eat 3 little pigs, and they decided to build houses to keep the big bad wolf out. The first little pig built a house of straw. The second little pig thought, nah, that's not strong enough, so he built his house out of sticks. And the third little pig wasn't taking any chances, so he built his house out of bricks. One day, the big bad wolf came out of the forest and found the first little pig in the house of straw. And the little pig was singing, "Who's afraid of the big bad wolf, the big bad wolf, the big bad wolf? Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Tra-la-la-la-la." The big bad wolf said, little pig, let me come in." And the little pig said, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin, I will not let you in." And the big bad wolf replied, "Well, I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down." And he took a deep breath, and he went, Just then a rainbow came along and saw him and said, "You know what you need? You need a blue reliever inhaler." And she gave the big bad wolf 2 puffs of his reliever inhaler through a spacer, because he was coughing a bit, but not too bad. And afterwards the big bad wolf said, "Well, I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down." And he took a deep breath, and he blew down the house of straw. And the little pig ran to his brother in the house of sticks, and the big bad wolf went back into the forest. But the very next day,
Well, you know what happened on the very next day, don't you? But what happened with the inhalers? So if you look at YouTube and you look for BreathChamps, all one word, you can find that. I should have given you the link. I'll try and find the link for you and put it in. Then you can watch it all the way through. Feel free to use it. If you do use it, please do tell me what happens. I'd really love to know. But I generally stop the video where I stopped it there at, before the blue inhaler comes out, and ask them what colour of inhaler and things like that. I hope it's making sense to you so far. So what happens when I delivered the Asthma Challenge badge to 183 brownies, cubs, guides and scouts, and 300 children in a school assembly, because one of the children used her pester power so that I gave an assembly. And unlike Johnny Coppell back in 2014, the children's asthma knowledge in Trafford is really quite high. I see a lot of asthma. They know all about blue inhalers. They're not sure on spacers, and they definitely don't know about preventers. So asthma knowledge rises by about 25%, but the important bits that you want them to know, they don't know that. And a bit like Walkden, I ask them to share the information, and they do, but some do keep it to themselves. I'll just let you read that. Interesting, of course, that one of the children was not believed when she gave accurate information. And here we have a 7-year-old brownie in Ashton-on-Mersey who's visiting her father, and he was having an asthma attack, and she knew that, and she hacked his phone. I don't condone that. And she phoned the paramedics, and then she gave first aid, and all was well by the time the paramedics arrived. Well done, Ashton-on-Mersey brownie. And the Asthma Challenge Badge process, again, I'll show you a little bit of this for those of you who work in units. Not very much. Look a bit wooden in this, sorry.
Welcome to my Asthma Challenge Pack.
Mm.
I've created a whole series of activities for children aged 5 to 18 so that they can help their friends, families and communities. BreathChamps believes that youth groups are important in terms of their ability to spread asthma knowledge in their communities. The mission and values of many youth groups around the world is often to care about and help the people around them. This pack can be used by any organisation that supports groups of young people, such as Scouts and Girl Guides, Cadets, Army, Navy, Air Force and Nursing, Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme, National Citizen Service and community youth groups. We base all our activities on learning outcomes that emerged from groundbreaking medical research called the National Review of Asthma Deaths, published by the Royal College of Physicians. And this report revealed what we need to do to prevent asthma deaths. So we use colour coding so that you know which activity links to which learning outcome linked to this National Review of Asthma Deaths. And you can therefore choose a good range of knowledge. All of this detail is included in the Ideas pack in the Resources section. There are 5 challenge topics for young people to tackle, and the older the young person is, the more challenge topics that they must complete to get their badge. The topics are asthma knowledge and skills, arts and crafts, storytelling and poetry, breathing exercises, and fundraising and spreading the word. For those aged 5 to 7, they will need to complete 5 activities, 1 from each topic. Aged 7 to 10, 7 activities, 1 from each topic, plus 2 extra. And if the child is 10 to 18, they complete 9 activities, 1 from each topic and 4 others. On average, it will take 3 one-hour meetings for younger children to complete 5 activities and 4 one-hour meetings for older ones to complete 7 to 9 activities. For Duke of Edinburgh.
So I think I'll stop there. Duke of Edinburgh ones, it's more around train the trainer, basically. And there is a more adult version of the Big Bad Wolf Has Asthma story for older children as well. slightly more adult themes. And so this is my summary, and then you can ask me any questions. I believe what I'm trying to express to you is that children and communities who don't have asthma can become part of our team. When I say our, I mean health team. And we can ask for them for help, and they can help us to share asthma knowledge. They can take effective action. And the evidence base, there's a strong evidence base for the activities in the pack in terms of play therapy and storytelling as ways to share knowledge. How to get the pack? Please email me at breathchamps@brightnessmanagement.org.uk. That's my telephone number. Those are my socials, the website. And thanks to Trudell Medical UK for sponsoring the 10 packs and for sponsoring the development of the badge up top. Really, I am indeed very grateful to them and to the units that have enabled me to test this out with them. I have to say that generally the children like this a lot. In schools, like it a lot. In general practice, I've done some small amount of testing because general practice is so very busy, but I am happy to do testing with people in Greater Manchester if they would like. So it's over to you now. Ask me anything. Oh, hello to somebody who's just joined. Do put your details in the chat, and you will get a recording, so you've not missed anything. Ask me anything.
So sorry, Heather. Yes, I want to tell you that you are brilliant. The activities are absolutely amazing, and I love it. And I would like to follow your steps. That's what I think. And this idea of based everything in communities for me is brilliant. I'm part of the Asthma Riker group. That is a social movement for health. This initiative is based on raising awareness and getting the best management of asthma along the world. And I think this is perfect for us for delivering activities for children. And just offer this to the community makes the change bigger. So absolutely lovely. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. And you're in Portugal, aren't you? Is it Portugal or Spain?
It's Spain.
Spain, I beg your pardon. And you have a colleague in Portugal, don't you?
Yes.
And this is through the International Primary Care Respiratory Society that we're talking to each other, Sian, who I think will probably get a recording of that. So I have tried to engage Girl Guiding units where I can, and Girl Guiding Northwest, Girl Guiding Greater Manchester. This is quite hard for me as a non-Girl Guide person. Of course, Girl Guiding and Scouting are a global phenomenon, and for those of you who think it's a thing of the past, well, I think several participants on here will tell you that it is not. It is very popular, and indeed in Wigan, not only children were involved, but they stay as part of the community until they are adults, and the adults also learn alongside the children. So it's really a massive movement. There are about 2,000 members of the Girl Guides in Wigan alone. It is massive and still extremely popular. So yeah, please do help me to get into units in Greater Manchester. I'm happy to chat to them. I'm going to have a look at the chat because I have not looked at the chat at all. I think it's just your list of. All right, thank you. Yeah, if you're with SAFNA, I am a member of SAFNA, and I will speak to SAFNA about how we may be able to share this pack through them. I can't hear you though. No, I can't hear you. But yeah, if you can, yeah, I know Sharon she's still there. She's not retired, has she? At SAFNA. Oh yeah, yeah. There's Sharon Diffley, and I'm talking about Sharon, who is the chairman of the School and Public Health Nurses Association. I will certainly do that. The other people who are engaged are Catherine Hickman, who is the chairman of the Primary Care Respiratory Society, and Carol Stonham, who is a Queen's nurse like me and a great supporter for me. And they are offering PCRS to help to raise awareness of the pack. Yes. Yes, so yeah. And I know, Sharon Diffley, you're thinking of using it as Arcala in the Cubs and at your secondary school. Thank you very much, which is here in Trafford. Of course, if you're in school health, school nursing, wow. Yeah. We'll just give them a video and you don't even need to be there. All right, then. Anything else? You're very quiet. I'm not very quiet. That's marvelous. So you've got my contact details. Yes, do put it in your newsletter. Yes, please do. Are you on the committee for SAFNA? Yeah. All right then. Yeah, I do need to speak more to SAFNA. I'm a member of the Royal College of Nursing and all that jazz. We'll do all of that. Use the nursing mafia. Indeed, we will. All right then. So it's precious time. Whoa, we finished 10 minutes early. You can continue the debate with me on this chat, I gather, through the wonders of Zoom. You can email me. You can ring me up. Very accessible. Yeah, enjoy. The Big Bad Wolf has asthma. The link is actually on the. Let me just get that for you, because I want you to start using that straight away. There you go. And you can, of course, save the chat if you press the three little dots, or you can cut and paste or whatever you want to do. Right, okay then. Thank you so much for coming. That is ace. Thank you for your enthusiasm. I feel much relieved that somebody turned up. And hopefully I will see you in another place doing amazing things and looking after our children the best way we can. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Heather.